justice and peace and equality.
Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. And today we have Mr. Gerald Emerson Rose in the building of the New World. How you doing today, Mr.
All right.
Rose?
Actually, New Order. New Order National Human Rights Organization.
New Order National Rights.
Human Rights
Organization.
Correct.
All right, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good, being blessed.
Man, tell us who is Gerald Emerson Rose, and tell us, some of the things New Order is doing in the community right now.
I'm from Toledo, Ohio. My dad was an icon activist. His name was Reverend Floyd Rose.
Okay.
And two of my best friends used to cut his grass, but then what happened was, they said, "Hey, Gerald, you like to go to the store with us?" I said, "No, I'm going to just chill." So they went to the store and didn't return. They got killed execution style.
Wow.
So my dad did an 18-day fast. And he said, "Son," I knew what my dad was doing when I was younger then. I knew what my dad was doing. He said, "Son, I need you to call a press conference to give them an update on what I'm, of my results.
Okay.
And I'm going on a spiritual fast." So what happened was I went out there and did such a good job. Something in me clicked in me because, first of all, because of the bloodline.
Okay.
Because growing up, our church and house was put on fire. Death threat calls came in. I remember when my dad took me to meet Rosa Parks. She spoke at our church.
Okay.
Minister Farrakhan been in my church. So I was exposed to civil rights as a kid. So what happened is once my dad called a press conference, I did such a good job. I was like, man, I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to get my own organization. So I relocated to Atlanta in 2000.
Okay.
And didn't nobody know who I was, but I knew I had this fight in me, the home birth of Dr. King. So what happened was a teacher in Cobb County called two students the N-word.
Okay.
And I was like, if Martin Luther King was alive and all that, I know he would have said something. But I remember the late Joseph Lowry said, "Rose, don't mess with no people in Cobb County." I said, that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
So I said something. I got the teacher suspended. And also a little girl got suspended with a Tweety Bird chain. I was like, man, this don't seem right. I actually called a press conference down at the King Center, little old Gerald Rose. Then I figured that I can do this.
Right.
And then I started recruiting people.
Okay.
So I went to a human rights organization, to a national human rights organization. New Order's in 17 cities now.
Wow.
Yes. My goal is to be in every 50 city by the end of the year. I don't know, that's crazy to say, but every day is a blessing, bro.
Okay, now you're opening up hubs in different cities, right?
Correct.
Tell us about some of your partners, and what are you partnering with people in the community?
No, actually, I'm networking with other organizations. Okay. But not partnership of them. I'm doing my own thing.
Okay.
Things like that. I don't have to answer to nobody.
Right.
So what happens? I got one in New York. I got one in Chicago, Illinois, Anderson, Alabama, Mobile, Alabama.
Okay.
Tulsa, Oklahoma, and a lot of these places where I've been, I had cases out there, so they're kind of very familiar with me.
Yes.
When I was in Chicago, it was a young man that got killed by the police, and I had a march in Chicago Heights.
Okay.
Yeah, so it ain't like I've been there before.
Right.
And one thing about my organization, we ain't perfect, but I do not quit until I get justice.
Man,
because
you can't quit.
When you file a complaint with my organization, we don't take cases on emotions. We go off facts. When you got facts, you get results.
Wow.
And my dad says, "Son, when you get involved in a situation, you make sure you don't play with people's lives."
Okay.
So I committed to that. If we can't help you, we can't help you. But if we get involved, we want some solutions.
Now, what type of help does New Order Human Rights Foundation provide?
We deal with racial profiling. We deal with job issues, school issues. Prison reform, stuff like that. We feel if your rights are being violated, we come for a prime example. In my hometown, Toledo, Ohio, a white teacher forced a 3-year-old little black girl to go outside without a coat on. And this was wintertime, sir. And I was like, that can't be true. She said, yes. So I did my research, did the facts. I said, I'm on my way.
Okay.
And I went up there and got the teacher fired.
Okay.
And it was, and we was in the Final Call newspaper for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're making some moves, man. We are making some major moves.
Nation of Islam Final Call.
Oh yeah, they provide security for me.
Okay.
And I'm not even a Muslim, but Minister Sharif is the regional director that Minister Farrakhan reports to when he comes to Atlanta.
Okay.
We was on a panel once before. And he was like, brother, who are you? And I explained to him. He said, man, I really like what you're doing, man. He said, hey, if you ever need us, you let me know. I said, why me? Because he said, first of all, you black.
Yeah.
And you doing the work.
Yeah.
So I remember when I went to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, exposed to racism on Temple College. And I called Minister Sharif. I said, hey, I'm on my way to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Can you have some security for me?
Okay.
The brothers was waiting on me.
Wow.
When I went to Mississippi, I went to Detroit. Yeah, so that's my, they helped me up because they know I'm doing good work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you were just down in Macon, Georgia,
yes.
advocating for the inmates.
Okay.
in the jail.
All right. Inmates have rights. Even though you're incarcerated, but you still have rights.
Tell us about that.
What happened was I went down there to announce a local chapter.
Okay.
And I focused on, my agenda was about the jail. Because doing my research, there's a lot of problems with that jail. Okay. Not just Macon, Georgia, just across this country.
Okay.
And I went down there to let them know that there's a new sheriff in town. And that we're going to be very visible. We're going to get into these schools. Like here in Atlanta, what I do, I go into a place called Georgia Works. It's a transitional home.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Georgia Works.
Correct.
Okay.
And I go there every Tuesday, do motivational speaking.
Okay.
Every fifth Saturday, we go to the Bluff.
Okay.
And we serve our people. We don't say feed homeless people. We say serve our people.
Serve our people.
And we do it with the youth.
Right.
Right. And matter of fact, I got, like I said, I have my events coordinator. She live in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay. Half my staff members live locally, and half of them works remotely. Okay. But it's like we together. Okay.
So is New Order like a non-profit organization?
It's non-profit, yes, sir.
All right. Okay. And when did it get started?
It started in 1992.
Okay.
So I've been around for.
You've been around for a minute, man.
But it didn't really kick off because I didn't have the right people.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
But now, what God has, because I almost gave up.
Yeah.
I can't do this, man. People, I have conference calls, nobody be on there. Call meetings, nobody come. But now God was like, if you really want to take this to the next level, you need to start getting people like strangers. People are goal-minded people. Okay. That want something out of life, not these young people.
Right, right.
And now, man, I can just tell you, man, the organization is blowing. We're really blowing up.
Man,
we're blowing up.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Now we got a case. We got cases going on.
Okay.
Tell us about the current case that you're on right now.
There's a case named Leon Moss Jr. He's inside the Fulton County Jail. Okay. He was accused of rape. Okay. And what happened, he was guilty of, he got into a car that was not his. Okay. But he drove himself to school. Right, which was stupid what he did. But this mother claimed that he raped her and all that. But one thing about me, if I feel that if some injustice is going on, I would take action. Right, so I met with the mother crying, said, Gerald, my son didn't do this. We have alibis, we have all type of witnesses, we got cameras in the neighborhood. Okay. I'm like, okay, why is this man still locked up? Okay. So as right now, I think they're afraid to let him out because we have a lawsuit. Okay. Pending on them. Okay. So Fox 5 and Followers News the story for a while. Right. And we told them now what's going on. The judge, we sent the affidavit. What you call that?
The affidavit.
The affidavit. Yeah. Sorry about that. To the judge to let them know that we're going after the prosecutor. Okay. Because of lack of charges you put on our client. Right. And the judge did acknowledge this paperwork. She's like, Mr. Rose, we know about this new law, and I'm going to call an emergency meeting. Okay. So now that's in the works. So can you imagine how many people's affected by that, man? Okay. Can you imagine? Then you got another law just passed a couple weeks ago when you hire an attorney, they don't do their work. And you get your money back right away. There's some stuff that's coming through the state of Georgia, these laws.
Well, let's talk about this. Let's go back to that because I believe that law has been in place for a while.
Oh, has it?
I believe people just don't know about it when it comes down to. So most people get the statement of non-refundable retainer. Okay. As when I pay a lawyer, I don't get my money back.
That's not true.
That's not true.
If you take them to the Bar Association.
Yes. Okay. So what happens is if you give funds to a lawyer, those funds supposed to be held into a trust.
Okay.
And the lawyer is supposed to itemize the work that he does. Let's say the lawyer charges $400 an hour.
Okay.
And as they show and prove the work that they're doing, they can deduct their funds from that retainer.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so what happens is, let's just say they only did. Let's say you pay a lawyer $50,000. The lawyer says, "Hey, it's $20,000 to retain me."
Okay.
But they only did $2,000 worth of work.
Okay.
Then that lawyer has to give you back the balance of $18,000. And people don't know that. Man, you know how long lawyers been taking advantage of people, bro?
Oh, I can imagine.
Come on, man.
I can imagine. The lady that we helping out had 3 attorneys. Now they to the point of representing themselves.
Yes. And the thing about
doing a good job too, man. She's got her paperwork down pat.
Correct.
Order and everything.
Correct.
'Cause I was a little nervous. I said, "You sure you want to do this? Because your son, he's facing 60 years in prison."
Right.
I said, "You sure want to do this?" She said, "Yeah, Mr. Rose. Her son, the one that's locked up, he done learned a lot from the law library inside the jail, and things like that." So she said, "Yeah, they're comfortable with it."
Well, it falls hand in hand with what you're talking about. What's happening in Fulton County?
Okay.
Where now prosecutors can't just prosecute you on BS.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it holds the justice system accountable on both sides.
Okay.
Because believe it or not, man, it's been a lot of people. What we know as African American men.
Oh yeah.
It's been a lot of people who have been, shafted by the
true.
system. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So tell us about now you were boots on the ground for the Ahmaud Arbery case.
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, Channel 2, Tom Jones called me.
Okay.
He said, "Would you like to say a comment when the guilty verdict came out?"
Okay.
So I met him and made a comment about it. That is correct, because I went to Brunswick.
Right.
To be a part of the first rally they had in front of the courthouse.
Okay.
With Attorney Molly Davis, Derek Bozeman, and I don't know if you know them.
Yeah, I know Attorney Derek Bozeman.
Yeah, Bozeman. Yeah. So I went down there. So I was very active in that court, the situation, because her mother spoke in Marietta as well,
right,
and things like that. So I'm very familiar with that case.
You're very familiar. Okay. And so tell us what's going on in your world, Mr. Emerson. Tell us.
To be honest, the reason why we got justice because it was caught on social media. Social media is a powerful tool.
Absolutely.
And I love it.
Absolutely.
When people say, "I don't like Facebook," and I said, "For what?" Well, you cause a problem. You sit there and accept all these crazy friends, these ghetto friends, and your whole timeline is junk. You cause that problem.
Yeah.
It helps New Order out. I didn't recruit a lot of people off of Facebook. That's why I travel. Yeah, that's why I travel across the country because of Facebook.
Right.
So I love it because I use it. Why I'm not on there trying to pick people up. I'm on there for business only.
Correct. And you definitely have a movement going on social media. Now tell us, what are some of the injustices that you're seeing humans face in America today?
Well, remember when Michael Vick got in trouble with the dog fighting?
Right.
I think the crime was a little bit too harsh.
Okay.
When he first got in trouble, the media automatically found him guilty through the media.
Okay.
As you know, they do us like that.
Right.
Stuff like that. So what I did was give him a chance. So when I went on Nancy Grace show about the dog fighting case, I said, "Nancy Grace, are you familiar with Patrick Kearney?"
Okay.
She said, "Yes, the white football player for the Falcons." I said, "Yes." "Well, don't you know alleged rape case took place the same time that Michael Vick was accused of fighting dogs? What is more important here?"
Wow.
She was like, "No, we're not on here for that. We're not on here for that." Just the fact they wanted to take a black man down.
Right.
Now when Vic came clean, I was a little upset.
Okay.
Because I said, well, you know what? I wrote Michael Vick a letter every week. I said, bro, keep your head up. Life is gonna be good. And then everybody was like, "Gerald, why are you supporting him? He's a dog killer and all." Peter came after me.
Yeah.
Peter was death. I mean, they was sending hate mail to my P.O. box. "You supporting a dog killer?" I said, but what happened was once he got incarcerated, I took a tour to these animal rights organization, hey, will you give Michael Vick a second chance?
Okay.
You know, once he pays his debt to society.
Right,
you know, and a lot of us like, all this or whatever. But at the same time, his dream came true. Look at him now. He's debt free now. He came back. He came out, signed a contract with the Eagles.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
and I remember that letter I sent him. People said, "Mr. Rose, you're wasting your time on Michael Vick." Now his brother is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
Marcus seemed like he didn't never get it.
Nah.
You know
Marcus never got it.
Yeah.
Marcus never
but
got
I
it.
hung in there with him, but I never met Michael Vick. But one time when he was in town signing autographs, they got out of prison.
Okay.
I said, "Mike Vick, New Order."
Yeah.
And he was like, "That's how that organization was supporting me." I said, "New Order, Gerald Rose." He said, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So he told the security to bring me up there.
Okay.
And he started crying. If he said, "Bro, I don't know who you is, man, but you never gave up on me, and I promise you, I really thank you for sending me these letters, and I thank God for you. And anything I can do, please let me know."
Right. Right.
And it hit him hard because I was on that case, man. I was on it.
Wow.
Getting chewed out, getting cussed out, all that, man. It was big, man. But because I seen something in him, because he wasn't really a bad person
At all.
He did a lot of stuff off the field with kids and stuff.
Okay.
So it wasn't his brother.
Okay.
So I looked at him as far as overall person that Mike Vick was.
Yeah.
But then once he got incarcerated, he started admitting that when he didn't study the game films and all that. So he kind of came out with a lot of negative stuff.
Okay.
You know, but jail really turned his life around.
Okay.
You know, but I just thank God that I had a chance to speak on that.
To speak on that.
Correct.
Now we just got in a situation where Puff Daddy was man, you know, Puff Daddy been all over the news, man.
Right.
Found guilty on 2 counts and
right.
not guilty on 3 major, man. Do you feel like it was a major injustice that happened?
Can I be honest with you?
Talk to me, man.
I think he did this stuff. It's just they didn't present the case right.
Okay.
I said, you know, they losing this case.
Right.
They didn't prove, because everything was dealt with adults. It was consensual.
Yeah.
They didn't prove they was messing with kids.
Yeah.
Now, R. Kelly's something different.
Okay.
You know, so they messed it up from the beginning.
Okay.
They had to do that by law to not found them not guilty.
But it seems to be an attack on black men during the
Of
public
course.
media. I mean, Tyler Perry.
But Puffy, man, the stuff that I seen him do was uncalled for.
Okay.
You know, and then when R. Kelly got in trouble, just when black men get in trouble, they go after him.
Yeah.
We under attack.
Yeah.
That's why I keep myself clean. Why would I go out and drink and try to drive?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give them no reason.
I got you.
You got to stay above water.
You got to.
And my dad said, "Son, you make sure you know that you be honest with yourself, because if you go out and do something negative,
that's right,
they gonna come after you." Like when my son got in trouble.
Okay.
They had him all in the paper, had me all on the news, civil rights activist son accused of doing this. So I know things can happen. You're a target.
Right.
So you have to be careful when you're in the spotlight.
Right. Now you traveling across the world, but specifically you're in rural progressive Georgia, South Georgia. We talking about a red state. Okay. You know, cow fields and everything.
You know, we helped get Forest Parks. We got a street named Barack Obama in Valdosta, Georgia.
Okay, yeah, I am familiar with that. Okay,
yeah, my dad was leading in that till he got sick.
Okay,
and I went down and spoke in front of city council.
Okay,
down there. So
and we ain't talking
about Atlanta, Georgia. We talking about South Georgia.
We talking about South Georgia. That's what I'm saying. So we talking about somewhere where Kendrick Johnson was rolled up in the mat.
Correct.
You know, how was it for you going out there in a climate where, Valdosta is still crying.
To be honest, man, what I seen what my dad went through and what we went through, don't nothing faze me. Okay, I'm a strong man. Only one I have to answer to is God. That's the only one I fear.
That's right.
I don't fear no man and woman, because my dad says, "Son, if you get into this business, you can't be scared." Right. I said, you know what? If it's worth taking my life, I want to have freedom for my kids. Okay. Because I'm doing this for my grandkids and stuff. I'm not doing it for the fame and all. I'm doing it for the future. For the future. Because somebody did it for us.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, but I don't fear nothing now. I do have a security guard, permanent. I just hired him maybe like 3 weeks ago. Okay. It's just the fact. It's just the presence. And matter of fact, we had a meeting this past Saturday to the community talking about these new laws that's been passed. Yeah. And he was there posted. Yeah. So you just ain't gonna run up on me.
Absolutely.
So I do know the seriousness of this, if you're doing the real work and you touch issues that's talking about change, you're going to be a threat.
Yeah,
especially if it's affecting somebody's pocket.
Oh, definitely.
That money, you feel me?
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I'm all about that,
man.
I'm all about boycotting, man. I don't really rally and march no more because it's not affected like it used to.
Oh, it's definitely not affected.
Yeah, it's like I attended a Black Panther Party rally about 2 years ago. I said, I said, excuse me, why don't we take this in front of Walmart or something and shut them down for the day?
Right.
Oh no, we can't do that. I'm like, that's when you being effective. That's when you know, getting your point across. Because until we don't affect them with our money, we useless.
Man, we got to go to a commercial break, man. We got Gerald Emerson Rose, New Order Human Rights Foundation. You guys stay tuned. Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. You guys stay tuned. Ease up.
At a New Well, we believe every day should be lived with dignity, comfort, and care. Located in the heart of Stockbridge, Georgia, our adult day center offers a safe, welcoming environment where compassion meets quality service. Whether your loved one needs daily support, engaging activities, or just the warmth of a friendly smile, we're here. At a New Well, we provide high-quality care, either in our beautiful facility at 931 Rock Quarry Road or from the comfort of their own home. Our dedicated team ensures every individual lives life to the fullest. And with Medicare Advantage and other insurance options accepted, peace of mind comes standard. So when you're ready to give your loved one the care they deserve, call a New Well today at 1-800-341-0120. That's 1-800-341-0120. Or visit anewwellinc.com, where care, comfort, and compassion flow together.
Have you fallen and can't get up? After the car accident, you just don't feel the same. DePaul Clinic is dedicated to help you relieve the pain. We specialize in personal injury setbacks, guiding your journey back to normal. We provide head-to-toe examinations, X-ray, and MRI, treating personal injury with adjustment, non-surgical decompression, and laser therapy. Our pain management specialists pride themselves on helping our patients to a speedy recovery every step of the way. Call us today at 770-471-1421 for booking, or visit us online at www.depaulclinic.com for more information. Our reviews speak for themselves. DePaul Clinic, the good hands quality care plan.
All right, Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. And we're back with Gerald Emerson Rose of the New Order Human Rights Foundation, man.
National Human Rights
Organization. Come on,
we ain't like a charity organization.
Yeah, national.
To fight the power.
Come on, man. Come on, brother. Now, we were talking about, before we went to break, we were talking about boycotting.
Okay.
Right? And we're talking about standing right. Pastor Jamal Bryant.
Okay.
With Target.
Correct.
Do you think his boycott was effective? And do you think
if you're being consistent, if you just protest one time, you're not gonna get the results. But my understanding, on the outside looking in, it's a consensual thing that he's doing out there. It's consistent. If you were consistent when you protesting, you get results.
Okay.
And on the outside looking in, I think this thing is going quite well. That I don't know.
Okay.
But if you heard something else differently, please let me know.
No. Well, some people are saying, okay, well, we might be like you said, Walmart. Let's go stand in front of Walmart.
Okay.
But Walmart and Target are some of the biggest employers of African Americans. So
I understand, but sometimes we got to sacrifice. You know, if we had our black-owned grocery stores and department stores, which we don't have, you know, it wouldn't be no excuse. But right now, we don't have no choice. But, you know, it's like this Indian that owns these gas stations, these corner stores. They disrespect us, man.
I mean,
you go in their store, hurry and buy something, looking at you like you doing something, you know. But that's where we at. We don't have our own stores.
What can African Americans do to put them? Because I mean, we've been saying this for so long.
Right.
We've been saying, hey man, we need black this, we need black, we need black media, we need black, we need black grocery stores, we need black owned business. Mm-hmm. But it seems that black owned anything gets the hardest persecution from his own people.
True. It's like, remember we had that black bank in the West End, Citizens Bank?
Yes, sir.
We don't even have that no more.
Wow.
You know, so it's really sad that we can't keep it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if it's money. Then we had some problem at the black colleges too here.
Well, I mean, we had
what you call that? The
accreditation.
Accreditation. Then we had
So Morris Brown.
And you got all these celebrities come from this town. Mm-hmm. They should be looking out for their home city. If I had the money, I would definitely put my money invest in that.
Well, most
everybody. I don't know if the money get mishandled while it's there or what. I don't know what's going on, but I consider this the black Mecca, Atlanta. Yes.
Man, that is I think that phase is over.
There's a lot of black people doing good down here.
It is, but I think that
you got a black church in every corner down here.
Correct.
You know, so why we all can't work together?
Okay.
Financially.
But do you still feel like Atlanta is the black Mecca?
Right now, there's a lot of people doing the same thing. We're not working together.
Okay.
You know, I ain't saying all of us not, but I know that it ain't what it's like. For example, we had this meeting last Saturday.
Okay.
It should have been a packed house. A lot of marketing went out for this meeting that we had.
Okay.
It was only like 40-some people. And that's a serious discussion. We talk about these laws.
Right.
That's something important. You know.
So what was discussed in the laws?
We was talking about, you know, what the power that you have if a attorney misrepresent you and you take them to the bar association, like you said, you can get your money back.
Okay.
And a lot of people didn't know that, like, oh, for real?
Yeah.
You know, so it was some hardcore things that we was discussing that the people was shocked with what we was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, most people don't educate themselves and properly doing the proper research.
That's true.
And
you said that been around for a while, then, huh?
Attorney. Well, it's actually been around. I mean, if you just read,
okay,
you know what I mean. If you simply read, a lot of times, so attorneys, insurance agents, and funeral home directors catch people at the most vulnerable time. Right?
I understand why, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So funeral home directors catch people when they are
lose a loved
one.
Correct.
Attorneys catch people when, hey man, I'm facing 20 years in prison. Mm-hmm. So you kind of say, hey, okay, what's worth it? Giving this attorney $20,000, I go into prison for 20 years of my life. Okay. And then so you say, if he say 20,000, boom, boom, boom. Okay. But most of us don't read the fine print in the contract, or we don't understand law.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So in protecting ourselves when it comes to dealing with an attorney, mm-hmm. the state bar has laws in place. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's not a law that just got passed. Okay. The actual. So it was a couple of bills that just got passed in January. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay. One, and we just gonna put it out there.
Okay.
So things like Pornhub you can't go to Pornhub.com on any VPN in Georgia.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You also have where helium balloons can't be released, or you can't blow up bouncy houses if the wind is over 15 miles per hour. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So yes, Georgia released a new set of laws, but the law that required for the attorney did not just take place. I believe the newest law that took place when it came to this year was the prosecutor, and not, mm-hmm. hey, the prosecutor can't falsely accuse you of charges. So I think it's a checks and balance there. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. What's your opinion on the Rodney Hinton case, on what he did after the officer killed his son? What is your opinion on that? Because there's a lot of our people putting stuff in the GoFundMe account. It's, I don't condone any kind of violence, but I do understand his frustration. I disagree with what he did, but I understand, man, because it's happening to us daily.
So in the Rodney Hinton case, a cop killed his son.
Right.
A cop killed his son.
Correct.
I believe the crime that he committed was a crime of passion and should be reduced to a mental health sentence, if any. when it comes down to that.
Right.
Now, I say that because I'm
gonna be honest, I don't think he'll give him no break because he's black.
I'm gonna tell you like this. So back before our time, when people would go fight wars. People go fight wars. One sign that a nation had defeated another nation was coming back with their genital or their balls in their hand. Right. It was an honor to say, you know what, we stopped the reproduction of this nation from even growing because not only did we kill their men, we have their balls and their genitals in the palms of our hands. Right. When it comes down to killing or doing anything harmful to our African American sons, our black sons, I look at it just like that. You see what I'm saying? So I look at like, okay, you took my legacy away from me.
True.
My son.
Right.
And whether it was justified, I don't believe it was even justified.
What I heard is that they was in a stolen car and he got out and just ran. But if you ran, you shot him in the back, the officer's life wasn't threatened.
Yeah, his life wasn't threatened. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So in that case, yeah, they were in the wrong.
Right.
However, it didn't constitute him to be murdered.
Correct.
You know? So, and I'm just saying, if I was in that same situation, I mean...
He lost it.
Yeah.
He lost it.
Yeah, you know.
And it's so built up happens to it every day. You might look like you ain't doing mine like that.
And I think that's why you have these laws coming back in place, where you have these laws coming back in place, you know, kind of for the people and holding police accountable, holding. Now with a new administration in office, you know, it is different things, different strokes for different folks. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes down to it, we just have to make sure that we're protecting, we're protecting our people and making sure that we stay knowledgeable in the laws. You see what I'm saying? Nobody can go and say, nobody needs to go and be like, hey man, we're trying to pick a fight anywhere, but we want, you know, justice and peace and equality for all. You see what I'm saying?
The reason why I brought up that case is that the attorney is going to be on my TV show.
And
he's going to be talking about the facts of the case. That people don't know, because a lot of people are assuming, but he's going to talk about the facts of the case.
Right.
And I'm kind of excited to have him on my show.
So tell us about your TV show.
It's called Real Talk with New Order, and we're live on Cluster TV.
And
we have like over 5 million views. You know, and we talk about the real issues out there. We talk about some very important things. We do have a segment at the Nation of Islam. We give them an opportunity to give their little section or whatever, say something.
Right.
You know, because I love the nation.
Man, that's what's up.
And you know, we talk about, you know, what we're working on, you know, and like I said, I'm just excited. That's the reason why I brought that up. What was your opinion on that? Yeah.
So how are you now with Atlanta? You know, you say you're in Atlanta, and the Nation of Islam has a presence in Atlanta somewhere. They heavy on Camp Creek Parkway.
Yeah, and they just opened up a new mosque over there by Metropolitan Street. And it's a nice building.
Man.
Yeah, you know. But like I said, they show even though I'm not a Muslim, bro, they show me much love, man.
Right. So how is your relationship with the black church?
Okay, it ain't like it used to be.
What do you think the black church can do to improve?
First of all, they put ATMs inside the black church. It's like my dad my dad was a minister. The church was always open. People, you know, for help. You know, but when you pay your tithes thoroughly and you go to the pastor and say, hey, I need something. If I can help me with my lights. And I know it takes money to pay.
Right.
And you can't do that. That's not right.
Right.
Like Goldstein, what's that preacher in Houston, Texas? Is it Goldstein? No, what's his name?
Osteen.
They said that when they had the floods there, people came to him, needed some help. He closed the doors on them.
What do you think was a safety measure?
I don't know. It's just the fact that church is supposed to be there. They're supposed to be there for you when you need some help. Now, I ain't saying take advantage of going there all the time for something.
Yeah.
But if I'm a faithful tithe member and it's my first time, hey, I'm needing some help, I need something, and you turn me down, that ain't right.
But most people that need the help ain't not faithful tithe members.
You think that's what the problem is?
Yeah.
You think that's why they turn them down?
I don't think. I think you have to vet it because I think people.
And I know it take money to pay bills.
Yeah.
They got to collect money to pay the bills. I do understand that. But
I think people, when it comes down to it, I think.
What about when you hungry?
Now, when you're hungry, yeah, we got to feed you. You know.
Okay.
But I think it's systems in place.
Okay.
Where we have to have systems in place.
Right.
Where checks and balances, because there's some people who take advantage of the system.
Right. That's true.
Let's even go back to the time where our African American women were manipulated and saying, you know what, the government said that we'll give you Section 8, we'll give you your own house as long as you put this black man out.
True.
You see what I'm saying?
That's true, yeah.
And bro, that destroyed a whole generation.
True.
You see what I'm saying?
Now, this new bill that passed, that Trump passed, the big bill or something, didn't they cut Medicaid?
They cut down on Medicaid, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, cut down on Medicaid and health care.
So so a lot of black women lost a lot during this big. This
I
bill
mean, the
passed,
American
right?
people, the American people are losing a lot, as well as our elders. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, America is a wealthy enough country where health care should be free.
True. One thing about me, I don't celebrate all these makeup holidays.
Yeah.
I call it Family Day.
Okay.
And the reason why I call it Family Day, I take advantage of that because, for example, this last Family Day, what was that, the 4th?
Right.
You take advantage to spend time with your family.
Correct.
You know, so I don't get hyped on these holidays, man. I'm glad that I can spend some time with my family.
Absolutely.
And not just during the funeral.
Absolutely.
You know, so that's, you know, and then the more older, I did a little research, and a lot of stuff is made. We've been brainwashed for a long time.
Oh yeah, we definitely have.
You got a white man Santa Claus coming down the chimney. Kids these days don't even believe it, I don't think.
No.
What is Halloween?
Yeah.
I mean, Mother's Day should be every day. I lost my mom in '89.
Okay.
You know, and I think Mother's Day should be every night. That's just not. It's just America want money.
Yeah.
And then you get in debt.
Yes.
And all that, you know, and that's why I love Farrakhan. He speaks the truth. You might disagree on his religious beliefs, but that one man, he speaks the truth.
Man, amazing. What's next for New Orleans?
Well, I'm on a tour right now. I go check in with going to Addison, Alabama next week to speak. We still on this case with the guy Leon Moss Jr. and we get cases all the time.
Okay.
You know, so we never sit still.
Okay.
You know, I got a conference call tonight with my board of directors, you know, and things, and everybody's on point, man. And a lot of people in my organization are victims.
Okay.
They lost loved ones, something happened to them.
Okay.
You know, so they seen how I did on their behalf, their family. So they were like, I want to be down with this. I want to look out for somebody else's family.
Wow.
My vice president used to be the local president of a Al Sharpton group here in Atlanta.
Okay.
Action Network.
Okay.
And he said it didn't work out. And he said, Mr. Rose, he said, before I join you, I don't want to deal with no mess now. He's been in the organization like 5 years now. So it's stability in this organization.
Okay.
Lately. You know, because at first it was hard. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
It was rough, man.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause this is a big city. It ain't like my hometown, Toledo, Ohio.
Right.
This is a big city. Everybody doing the same thing.
Okay.
A lot of doors was closed in my face, a lot. But now, you know that song, Mike Jones, You're Yeah, so now I prove myself.
Okay.
And I'm welcome into this community. You know, we get a lot of calls for help, a lot.
Okay.
You know, especially, it's to the point now the media gives out my phone number. And I actually say, how did you hear about my organization? Fox 5.
Yeah.
So they giving out my number.
Okay.
Yeah, so that means I'm doing something.
You doing the work.
Correct.
Right. So how you guys, I mean, are you guys like hiring lawyers? Do you guys?
We do have attorneys on my staff.
Okay.
You know, and they turn around and give us a donation to the organization.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 3 attorneys. I do tell the clients that this is not a free bono legal service. Once it gets to go to an attorney,
okay,
we're out of it.
Right.
They just a referral service for us.
Okay.
And they do a great job. One of my attorneys is out of Detroit. I got one here locally, but my other one can practice law in each state.
Gotcha. Yeah. Gotcha. All right, man. We're gonna go to another commercial break, man. We got Gerald Emerson Rose, New Order, Human Rights, National Foundation.
National Human Rights Organization.
Come on, man.
You sound like you doing like a charity thing.
Nah, man, we know you fighting for the people, man. You guys stay tuned. Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. Ease up.
Georgia. In America, we are in what many may call dark days. This is not a game. We are in a crisis that has many in communities across this state and in the nation feeling uncomfortable and, quite honestly, scared and unsure of what tomorrow will bring. In this moment, we need someone that's ready and willing to pull us out of darkness and step into the light of our greatest potential. It is not enough for us to fight against the powers that be, but we also need to fight for something. I desire to fight for you and your family as I announce my candidacy to become governor of Georgia. As governor, I will be that champion. I want to ensure your rights are protected. Civil rights, reproductive rights, human rights, women's rights, LGBTQ rights. I want to protect you from being abducted in our streets. I understand that climate and the environment is important. You deserve clean air to breathe and fresh water to drink. A governor that believes all Georgians deserve good paying jobs, safe homes, and access to affordable health care. But a governor also that believes that giving birth to children in this state should not be a death sentence. Who do we have that is going to lead us to brighter days? A husband, father, business executive, entrepreneur, military veteran. We need someone to restore hope. We need a governor on day one who is ready to battle against the Trump policies, the Republican agenda, and protect the citizens in this state. Every day I will wake up with your family on my mind. I am ready to be a champion for you. Elect me, Derek Jackson, for governor.
Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. We're back. Mr. Gerald Emerson Rose. New Order. Come on, man. New Order. Man, why was the organization named New Order? Why
we knew it, we in order.
Okay.
And I try to say that we are an organization that's going to stay in order.
Okay.
You stay in order, you stay focused, you stay dependable, you stay determined.
Okay.
And again, this work ain't for everybody.
Correct.
And I just thank God that I put him first. I'm very humble.
Right.
I'm not arrogant.
Right.
Because he could easily take all this away from me.
Absolutely.
Because this is a volunteer organization right now.
Okay.
So we're going after some grants.
Okay.
But everybody's there when called upon. I mean, it's just unheard real that God turned it all the way around. Because at first, man, I almost gave up.
Man.
But I knew this was in my heart, my blood. I said, I got to keep going. And then God just started bringing me some people that was serious.
Okay.
So now we taking. That's why we going to the next level. And we in 17 cities, bro.
Okay.
That ain't bad, man.
Nah, it ain't bad. Now you got a lot of African Americans.
Okay.
We got what's his name?
Who's that?
Logan down in Pierce County.
Never heard of him.
The little young black boy who was killed in a hit and run.
I never heard of him.
Yeah, it's a lot of. You got a case in Barnesville.
Okay.
It's a lot of things happening in Georgia that are being overshadowed because the news
ain't covering them.
Is not covered.
I never heard of that.
See what I'm saying?
So he's an activist.
No. He was killed. Logan was killed. It was a young boy.
Wow.
That was killed. I think what was like 8
Did they ever find out what happened?
Hit and run.
Wow.
Hit by a car. Yeah.
And no media attention.
No media attention.
Wow. That's what we need, our own black media.
Man.
Because you mentioned that earlier.
But you gotta have the thing. So, this is the thing about black media, man.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
White media, so black media, when it comes to black media, we depend on African American businesses to advertise with us, right?
They don't have it.
No. They advertise with you, but it's a dope boy advertisement. It's like, oh, if I give you $500, I need to make $1,000 back.
So they
you know what I'm saying?
With you and all that.
Yeah, it's that. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, but when it comes down to like white media, or we so-called call it, their advertisers lobby for the ideology.
Okay.
They lobby. Like when you have lobbyists, that means, so if you saw Time magazine when they put out cannabis, make cannabis legal. Right. That magazine had over like $1.6 billion worth of advertising, $1.6 million worth of advertising that you didn't see. Because the people who paid for it were the people who had farms, and they advocated for making cannabis legal in America. Oh, okay. See, we don't put our dollars behind what we advocate. We just walk around the block saying, we shall overcome. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Right. So when it comes down to, those tactics are a little bit different. Gotcha. You see what I'm saying? Gotcha. They're a little bit different. Like it's like a trade-off. You see what I'm saying? Right. You gotta have something tangible. You know, you can't just say, hey man, we're gonna advertise your business, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. You know, they like, hey man, you might shoot the commercial, put their ad in an ad, run their ad on social media, digital and print. You could do, and they'll be like, hey, I didn't get any clients or something, or da-da-da-da-da-da, and want a full refund. But they don't go to the AJC, they don't go to none of these other white organizations or white media companies. They just be like, oh, well, we'll run it again. You know what I'm saying? Right, true. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Right. So, that's the difference, and I think that's where Roland Martin even said it. When Roland Martin said it, when he was covering his show, Roland Martin was talking about.
He still got his podcast?
Yes, he still got his podcast. You see what I'm saying? Right. And so, but it's about those businesses, like, and no shade whatsoever. Okay. But let's just look at Slutty Vegan. Okay. All right. I don't really see Slutty Vegan advertising anywhere in a black publication unless Slutty Vegan is featured on the cover or on.
Is that a restaurant when you say Slutty Vegan?
Yeah.
Okay, who was
So Slutty Vegan, you don't know what Slutty Vegan is?
Nah, don't laugh at me now.
All right, Slutty Vegan was just start like it's Pinky.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
All right? Okay. And not to knock any of her accomplishments, she's a great, phenomenal person. Matter of fact, she's a Clark Atlanta University alumni.
Oh, is she?
You see what I'm saying? Yes.
Okay.
So, but what I'm saying, I'm just using that business for an example. Okay. It's nothing against them personally. Right. But, I mean, think about it. You know what I'm saying? We have black businesses that, have hit the $1 million mark. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm.
We got some very successful black
people. Very successful. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Like this city got a lot of black people doing good here in Atlanta.
Absolutely.
But if we all put our money together, man, it could, but.
Hey, the Mandingo spirit, though.
True.
The Mandingo spirit. Right. You see what I'm saying? Right. It's, when you condition a certain way, when the Mandingo spirit is powerful, man. Right.
Right. That's why I like, I know LeBron James got a lot of haters.
Yeah.
But I like how he built that school.
Yes, sir.
His father wasn't in his life. He was, man, his mom had him living from house to house growing up.
Right.
Now his life didn't change. Without a father in the home. He took care of his own. The guys that played basketball with him. Right. He took care of all of them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he kept it in the family.
Right.
So I respect that man. But because he said he took his talent to Miami that year, people just start hating him.
Yeah, definitely.
But he's and now it's like they hate his guts.
Come on now.
I'm like, why?
Come on now.
But look at him off the court, bro.
Yeah.
That's just a sport, man. But he does a lot of stuff off the court, man.
Absolutely. I mean, let's go to black people trusting black organizations though.
Okay.
Black Lives Matter. Right?
Right.
I mean, bro, you had people buying Black Lives Matter t-shirt only for the organization.
Do they still exist anymore?
I don't believe they exist anymore at all. I don't.
There's a lot of organizations. When I blew mine up, got off the ground.
Okay.
That was there. I don't see them no more.
Right.
You're right. What happened to Black Lives Matter?
Well, I mean,
you know how it started.
Yeah, I know how it started.
Okay.
But Pastor Jamal Bryant said, Black Lives Matter raised $1.6 million, or
they was doing it.
They was doing it, but the people was living off of the people who were over the organization. Mm-hmm. And that's what I don't
taking
understand.
Taking that money.
I can't even say they were taking advantage of living luxury, because we don't say that when people from the Red Cross doing it.
True.
We will put each other out of business.
That's true.
Over pennies.
That's true.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
We'll put each other out of business over pennies when you got the Red Cross who been milking the cow. You got, what else?
That's true.
What else?
Did you remember a guy named Sir Major?
I know Sir Major.
Did you heard about the issue? He got caught up in Ohio.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, talk about it. What happened?
Yeah, he went up there. They was giving money to his organization. He started using it on a personal level, buying houses and buying clothes. He's currently in the federal prison right now.
Wow.
Yeah, and he called me, said, "I need your help." I was like, bro. I mean, you put yourself in a situation.
Okay.
You taking people money. And, you buying fancy stuff and all this and that,
Right.
And he was using Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
But now he's currently incarcerated in Ohio in the federal prison right now. But he started when he left here in Atlanta, then he moved to Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah, because he's from my hometown.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
but he had a good heart, man, but he did the
he definitely had a good heart.
Because the chief of police in my hometown said, help me get him out of here. I said, first of all, I'm not going to... a guy that's doing what I'm doing, I'm not going to sell my people out like that. I might disagree with what he's doing.
Right.
I ain't tell him that.
Okay.
The chief, but I told him, don't call me on that mess. I don't sell my people out like that.
Most definitely.
It's just the fact he was a threat up there. He was doing things, just he caught up.
Right. Man, anything else you would like to share with our audience?
I just want to get some information.
Okay, go ahead.
If you want to contact New Order, please call us at 1-800-346-5138, or you can visit our website at www.nonhro.com, or you give us a call. You can email us at n1992order@yahoo.com.
All right, man. We want to thank you for taking the time and sharing your story, man.
I really enjoyed myself,
man. And man, we look forward to some of the cases.
Okay.
We're constantly seeing you on the news. We're constantly seeing you, out there fighting boots on the ground for the people, man. We want to thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
All right. You guys, thank you for tuning in. Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts a conversation. Thank you for tuning in.
Justice and peace and equality. Now the world they will see.